Well, hi there, Jackie Bolhuis from Klompen Stampers. I've got some fun cards to share with you today that are pretty quick and easy. We're using the Seaside Notion stamp set, and we're also going to talk about the 3D embossing folders. There's been a lot of questions about them because they're a little bit different than the dynamic ones that we're used to. So I'm going to give you some tips for using them, as well as show you a couple of really cute, quick and easy cards. We're going to start with a SIP card. You guys have heard me use that term before, stamps, ink, and paper. That's all you need. And then we're going to jazz it up just a little bit. We'll talk about the folders. So lots of tips to share with you today. So make sure you watch all the way to the end. Now, before I flip down, just a quick reminder, if you like my video, please show me some love. Give me a thumbs up. Leave me a comment. Don't forget to subscribe. I come to you at least 3 times a week with quick and easy stamping videos. I love to share and I love to teach, so I hope you follow me and share my videos with your friends. Now, that's not why we're here today. You don't want to listen to me any longer. Let's get stamping. This is what the stamp set looks like. I like it because it's just very versatile. With gratitude, which would be like, thank you. Happy birthday, thinking of you. Here's to you. Could be congratulations or whatever. Some fun beachy images. Great for making some quick and easy cards. Now, we're going to start out making a SIP card. Now, I have a whole series of videos doing SIP cards. These are really designed for those of you that are beginners. Keep it easy, guys. You don't need a million supplies. All you really need is stamps, ink, and paper. That's what SIP stands for. So we've got the note cards. I love using the note cards in envelopes because you get a package of 20 of them. They're pre-scored. They're the nice heavy whisper white, and you get the envelopes with them as well. Now, we're going to do a little, I don't know if I even want to call it a technique, a little coloring method using a blender pen. Now, if you've never used a blender pen, it comes in packs of 3, and they're all the same. It's just they eventually dry up and wear out. But it's essentially a clear marker is the best way to describe it. And I'll show you how I'm going to use it here in just a sec. Colors, I have to kind of chuckle at myself. We're using Sahara Sand, Calypso Coral, Pacific Point, and Pool Party. How I came up with these colors, not really sure, but I was just kind of thinking they all sounded beachy or oceany. So I thought, let's just put these colors together, and I actually kind of like how it came out. Oh, let's start with our seahorse here, and we're going to go ahead and stamp him. Now, right after I've stamped him, I'm going to take the blender pen and I'm going to just color over it. And you can see how that ink is smearing. It's moving it around like so. I'm not adding any additional ink. We'll just color him in a little bit. You don't have to color him in solid. You can leave a little bit of white. But see how that colored in just by using the ink that was stamped. That's one way to use these blender pens. When you're done with it, because I'm done with that Pacific Point, I want to scribble on scrap paper a little bit to get that blue off of it, and then we're ready for the next color. So we're going to do kind of the same thing here. We'll use the Calypso Coral along with the coral stamp, and we're going to smear this color around. Now you'll notice this one doesn't seem to give you as much color smear around. It's kind of interesting. Different colors will dry quicker and let you smear them around more than others will. Blues, for whatever reason, always tend to give you a lot of color. Now, if you want a little bit more color, you could actually take this, and I just tip it on the edge of my pad, and then I scribble some of it off because you got to be careful. You could get even too much. But if you want a little bit more color, that's how you do it. Just a little bit of warning though, with these note cards, because they're not made to take a lot of moisture, you don't want to do a ton of coloring with this because it's kind of like using water and your paper will kind of fuzz up and stuff on you. This little guy, I mean, that was so quick and easy. It didn't really affect it, but here you can almost see it's going to fuzz up a little bit. That might have been just a little bit too much of that blender pen. So let's just do this again. Just go over it quick and easy, but not too much because you'll kind of fuzzy up your paper. Then we'll just take our black memento and we can add happy birthday on there like so. And we've got a quick birthday. Oh, let's go ahead and do one more thing. We want Sahara Sand. I thought that was kind of appropriate for down at the bottom here. And we'll call it the sand at the bottom of our ocean. You can see I'm just inking it up and stamping it several times. There we go. Here's the one I did previously. I think I have a little bit more coral in there. And then I also stamped the inside a little bit. So that's a super easy SIP card, stamp, ink, and paper. And it's also showing you how to use the blender pen. So let's pull in this one. There's nothing any harder here. It just took me a little bit longer because I stamped the second seahorse on scrap paper and I had to use my scissors to cut them out. And then I just layered. Now, as far as all the sizes on here, hop on over to my website. I'll have pictures of these cards as well as the card recipe. So I'll list all the supplies I used and the sizes that I cut everything. This bow, I just doubled up my linen thread and tied it, added it on with a glue dot, added a couple of those sequins. I love those. They're the self-adhesive ones. So you just pop them off the sheet and stick them down. And then the inside is just stamped a little bit as well. But you can see where I used the blender pen on this. So here's our first card. Super easy. Just stepped it up a little bit by adding a couple of layers. Our greeting is embossed, use some dimensionals, and it really makes a cute card. Okay, let's set this one aside. Okay, let's take a peek at the second card I made. Now this one, I did emboss this white layer, and I hope you can see it on there because it's super cute. And I used the High Seas 3D embossing folder. The images are just stamped and cut out. Again, we embossed, popped all of this up with dimensionals, and that was it. Super easy. But I want to talk a second about these 3D embossing folders. When Stampin' Up! Came out with these in the June catalog, they're a little bit different than the embossing folders we used to carry that were called dynamic embossing folders. Now these are thick, okay, but they are not as thick as the dynamic ones. Now with the dynamic, the old style, when you ran them through your Big Shot, and I know Stampin' Up! Does not carry the Big Shot anymore, but it's what I use, and I know a lot of you use it, so I can give you some suggestions for making your sandwiches with the Big Shot. If you have a different type of die cutting machine, you'll have to kind of figure out your sandwiches yourself. But with the older dynamic ones, we used our regular platform, we used the dynamic folder, and then we used a clear plate, and that's what gave us enough pressure. And really, the sandwich, all it's about is figuring out how much pressure you need. Well, now, when they came out with the 3D ones, which are all the thicker ones in this year's catalog, because they're a little bit thicker, if you put your paper in here, and I guess I've embossed this one already, but we'll just make believe. If you put it in there, put it on the platform, and one plate like we used to, there's not enough pressure. It's not going to emboss it. So there's a couple of solutions. One, if you have the silicone craft mat, I found that by setting that on top, actually, you got to set it on top of this. It's just making a shim. It's making that folder a little bit thicker. And now when you run it through, you should get some pretty good pressure. Otherwise, you could add some layers of cardstock, maybe a couple layers of the backing from a designer series paper pack. You have to kind of play around because every Big Shot or every machine in general is going to vary a little bit about how much pressure the machine is putting on it. So once you figure it out, it's simple because you'll use it that way all the time. Even write it down, make yourself a note if you have to. So another solution, if you have the older platform, which I know some of you do, I have the older one, but then I bought the new one. I can actually, this is the one with the old one with the tabs. I can go ahead and if I put my paper in it, keep both tabs closed and set it on there in one plate. That seems to be perfect. They're embossing perfect that way. Then the third option, Stampin' Up! Has come out with a new plate. I don't have mine yet, so I don't have it to show you, but it's made to pick up kind of the slack with these. So it brings us back then to the regular platform, and you put your plate on it. Instead of using these clear plates, you'll use the embossing plate that would go on top of here, and that gives you the right amount of pressure. So that plate's available for just $10. It'll last forever because you're not cutting on it, so it's not going to warp, it's not going to get cut marks. So, but that'll be the easy way to do this if you don't want to use shims or the silicone mat or the old one. So with all of that said, let's just peek at the card again. And you can see here the texture in here. But when you emboss on a layer like that, especially when you're just cutting out layers or pieces and adding them on there, it just adds that nice little texture. Super simple card, nothing hard about it, but I think it's kind of cute. So there you go, guys. 2 cards using the Seaside Notions. And then we use on one of them the High Seas 3D embossing folder. Cute. Happy birthday, thinking of you. great all occasion stamp set that you could make cards and send them to anyone. So as always, if you have questions, let me know. I'm here to help you. Hop on over to the website. Like I said, I'll have the link will be down in the description of the video, and over on the website I'll have all the card recipes and a list of all the supplies and colors and so forth that I use to make these cards. So I hope you enjoyed them today, and I look forward to stamping with you again real soon. Have a stamp happy day.